Hey everyone, Mr. Sujano here, your source for gaming tech, emulation, and open source news. Let's get started. Alright, to kick things off, we're talking about gaming on iOS and Android with Animal Crossing Pocket Camp, and Nintendo has announced that they are ending support for this game. Now, if you don't believe me, here's the official note from Nintendo. Thank you for playing the Animal Crossing Pocket Camp app. We regret to inform you that the online service for Animal Crossing Pocket Camp will end November 28th, 2024. However, there is arguably some even better news here. They say they are developing a version of Animal Crossing Pocket Camp that users can continue to play with their save data. It does not require constant data communication. It is a paid app without in-app purchases, and users can carry save data over by linking their Nintendo account, but cannot carry over any remaining Leaf tickets. Now, they say the sale of Leaf tickets will stop on November 27th, and as for subscriptions, users will no longer be able to begin new subscriptions to Pocket Camp Club as of the start of the maintenance plan for October 28th. Existing subscriptions to the Merry Memories, Happy Helper, and Furniture and Fashion plans will also no longer automatically renew. In my opinion, this is horrible news for people who like to spend money in apps, but for basically everybody else, I think this is fantastic news. I mean, if you've invested a ton of time into this game, you can just port the save game over. And if you don't want to pay for a whole bunch of stuff, you just pay once for the app and that should be it. And there's no need for a constant data communication. Animal Crossing Pocket Camp seems to be pretty popular. I mean, it's got a 4.2 star rating with over 10 million downloads, and that's only on Android here. Let me know your thoughts about this one in the comments below. I know I have my many disagreements with Nintendo, but I'm agreeing with them on this one. I think this is a good move. For people who want to continue to play this game and Nintendo no longer wanting to really support it, Nintendo is doing a good thing here by making a brand new app that's available to players offline. I guess the only better thing would have been to make it free. But I'm not going to lie here, even though it's going to be a paid version of the app, I wish more companies did this when they didn't want to support the game anymore. I mean, think about all of those games reaching end of life, and if the companies decided to just make them an offline game instead, we would have this whole Stop Killing Games initiative not a thing. And speaking about not being a thing, next up we're talking about something that's not going to be a thing this year, and that's Hyper Light Breaker. This game has been delayed again until early 2025. So the development team says we need a little more time to give you the best possible gameplay experience for early access. And you know what? I don't fault them for this. I'd rather a company take the time to make a very good game. And even though this is going to be in early access and people expect bugs, at the same time, a lot of people expect a lot of things out of early access. So I am a-okay with them delaying things and just making things good, and at least they're letting us know up front. But shifting from something not releasing to something that is just released, and next up here we're talking about Mesa Turnip drivers on Android. So if you've got a Snapdragon CPU with an Adreno GPU, you may be interested to know that Mesa Turnip driver version 24.3.0 revision 4 has just dropped. Now, with all of these Turnip drivers, your experience may vary in terms of what games work well with them and what don't. For example, this person says they've tested it on a Snapdragon 8 Gen 2 and have mixed feelings. There's a huge improvement on Yuzu with Spyro Trilogy. It runs at a constant 30 frames per second. Before it ran in the 20s with a lot of bloom. However, on Tears of the Kingdom, there's a clear performance drop. Before it ran mostly at 28 to 30 FPS, and now it has constant drops to 21 FPS. So I guess R2 is best for Tears of the Kingdom and R4 is best for Spyro. Next up, we're talking about a revival you may be interested in if you are a fan of Rival Turf, Brawl Brothers, or the Peacekeepers on the SNES. Now, this was a trilogy of beat-em-ups on the SNES made by Jaleco, and there's a brand new game that just popped up on Steam called Rushing Beat X, Return of Brawl Brothers. This is supposed to come out, I think, in 2024 here, although we don't have a release date for it. And it's basically a revival of that series. Let me know your thoughts about this one in the comments below. Have you played those previous games on the SNES? Is this something that's up your alley? And speaking about release dates, next up we're talking about Post Trauma, which just got its release date announced. This game is coming out on October 29th of this year, just in time for Halloween. This is a psychological action thriller game you might be interested in if you're a fan of Silent Hill. Moving on, and we're talking about Avowed, and during Gamescom this year, I don't know if this is a huge spoiler or not, but they revealed that this game is going to have multiple endings, over 10 of them. So they say that the ending you get is going to be a sum of all of the choices you've made throughout the game, so I'm assuming this game is going to have a ton of replayability. Avowed releases on February 18th of next year. Next, if you've been following along with Phantom Blade Zero, you might be excited to know that there's a brand new 8-minute gameplay video out on YouTube. I'll drop a link to it in the description below. This game has no release date just yet. It's been around for a while, though we've known about it for a while. And the gameplay here looks pretty darn good for this hack and slash RPG. And speaking about hacking and slashing, next up we're talking about Monster Hunter Wilds, which got a lot of coverage at Gamescom this year. And there's a lot of very interesting information on top of just trailers. So feedback from someone who reportedly played the demo said the demo was on a PS5, didn't run at 60 FPS, but felt like a stable 30 FPS. Now, I don't know if that's accurate or not, but at the same time here, may be concerning a little bit for a brand new next-gen game. But the other piece of news here I would say is a good piece of news if you like to dress your character in the game, if you have fun with armor sets and really enjoy that aspect of it. Apparently now there's going to be no gender class for armor. Any character can wear anything. Now, Monster Hunter Wilds is set to release in 2025, so for the frame rate stuff, I'm wondering if it was just an early version of the game and this might get fixed moving forward. Or maybe it's just because there's so much stuff on screen it can only support 30 FPS. Let me know your thoughts about the whole 30 versus 60 FPS in the comments below. Is that a deal breaker on a game like this for you, or do you even care? But moving on, and next up we're talking about Microsoft, and Microsoft has just opened up pre-orders for the Xbox Series X All Digital Edition. So right now the 1TB All Digital Robot White Edition is set to release on October 15th, with a price of $450. The disk drive version for the same storage amount is $470, so $20 more. You save $20 by not getting a disk drive. In my opinion here, I see no reason to go with the digital version when you can spend the $20 more because it's on sale right now and get the disk version. The disc version will grant you access to Xbox games that are used, the physical games that you can pick up used from somewhere, probably for a fraction of the price that you can pick up the digital edition for. So I would probably spend the extra money up front for discounts later on. Plus you can sell those games as well. But let me know your thoughts about this one in the comments below. If you were in the market for an Xbox Series X, I'm not saying you are. If you are in the market for an Xbox Series X, would you spend the extra $20 for the disc drive, or would you not care because you'd be playing with Game Pass or something like that? And continuing to talk about Microsoft and Xbox, yesterday Xbox unveiled 4 new accessibility offerings, and they are all pretty cool. Their first thing here is an adaptive joystick, which kind of reminds me a little bit of a singular Joy-Con. The next thing is great if you've got a 3D printer, 3D printable files for adaptive thumbstick toppers. The third thing here is that they've teamed up with 8BitDo for a Lite SE 2.4G wireless controller, which is awesome. And the last thing here is the BioWave Proteus controller, which looks very interesting. My opinion about this stuff is the same as it has always been. Giving more people more options to game is better. The more people who can game is obviously a better thing. And continuing to talk about Microsoft, next up we're talking about a recent Windows update that you may not like if you have a dual booting system with Linux and Windows on it. So apparently here, according to Gaming on Linux, Microsoft breaks some Linux dual boots in a recent Windows update. So as for the cause of this problem, there's a very interesting snippet. It says Windows will apply an SBAT, which stands for Subscribe to Mr. Sujano, or Secure Boot Advanced Targeting Update, to block vulnerable Linux bootloaders that could have an impact on Windows security. The SBAT value is not applied to dual boot systems that boot both Windows and Linux and should not affect these systems. However, it seems that it is affecting these systems, or at least some of them. Now, as someone who has systems that dual boot, I haven't encountered this issue yet, but if you have, let me know in the comments below. Next up here, if you're into Super Mario Bros. 1 ROM hacking specifically, there's a brand new website you may be interested in. The website is called SMBArena, and it's just for Super Mario Bros. 1 ROM hacks. So if you're into other ROM hacks, this site might not be up your alley, but if you're into this stuff specifically and want to be a part of a community, this may be right up your alley. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And speaking about alleys, I guess, next up we're talking about Stalker 2. And if you're looking forward to this game, there's a 14-minute video that just popped up on YouTube that happened during Gamescom. There's a lot of gameplay in here, and the game looks to be shaping up real well. Now, this game is releasing on November 20th of this year, and from my understanding, it's just for Xbox and PC, but not PlayStation. And continuing to speak about gameplay, next up, we're talking about Dune Awakening. And there's a 26-minute video on YouTube showcasing a ton of gameplay for this upcoming game. Now, Dune Awakening is marketed as an open-world survival MMO. It is releasing in 2025, but on the description on this YouTube video here, there's a sign up for a beta, so you might want to check that out if you're interested in the game. And speaking about upcoming games, next up we're talking about Mafia The Old Country. And this game just got a brand new teaser trailer on YouTube. I'll drop a link to it in the description below. This game is set to release in 2025 for Xbox and PlayStation, not the Switch, and also PC. And we're going to know more information about this game in December. And speaking about teaser trailers, next up we're talking about Retroid, and Retroid has just unveiled the Retroid Pocket Mini. They teased this one over on YouTube. I'll drop a link in the description below. And this is yet another handheld from Retroid. Unfortunately, we don't have the full system specs yet, but it will have a 4x3 screen at 1280 by 960. It will be 3.7 inches and it will be an OLED. And continuing to talk about teasers, next up we're talking about Tokyo Xtreme Racer, which just got a brand new teaser trailer. Unfortunately, I don't have any more information about this game other than what's showcased in this trailer. And I guess the fact that it's also on Steam. I'll drop a link to the Steam page store in the description below. It says the release date for this one will be 2025. And continuing to talk about trailers, because there were a whole lot these last couple of days here. Next up, we're quickly talking about Payday 3. And Payday 3 Chapter 3 Houston Breakout just got a brand new launch trailer. I'll drop a link to this in the description below as well, and feel free to check it out. And continuing to talk about trailers, next up we're talking about Forza, and Forza Horizon 5 just got a brand new mode here, at least a trailer for one. And that is hide and seek. It's a multiplayer game where, you guessed it, you play hide and seek. Based on the trailer for this one, I'm assuming it's going to be a very popular mode. I mean, online racing is kind of a crapshoot as to whether or not you're going to get raced cleanly or just completely bounced around, or it's just going to be complete nonsense. This seems to just encapsulate what the game should kind of be. Let me know your thoughts about this one. And last up here, we're talking about some free games. Now, both of them are on the Epic Games Store. The first one here is called Gigantic, and this is the Rampage Edition. Now, this one normally goes between 15 and 20 bucks, give or take, and it's currently free. Now, for those who may be unaware, this is a 5v5 MOBA hero shooter, and it's got a fairly decent rating on the Epic Games Store. Actually, very good, 4.3 stars. And the second game here isn't rated as high, only 4.2, which is actually extremely high anyway. And this one is the Callisto Protocol. This game is very expensive normally, ranging between 60 to 80 bucks, give or take, depending on where you are in the world. I mean, in Canada here, and it's 70 bucks. And this one is currently free. It was released back in 2022. But anyways, that is all I've got for you in this one. Straight to the point, all stuff and no fluff. We talked about a bunch today. Let me know your thoughts about absolutely any of it in the comments below. If you like this video, leave a like. If you didn't like this video, leave a like. Hit that subscribe button. Check out my other videos. Don't tempt fate. Save your state.